All right. So last last couple weeks we went through uh First Thessalonians, and there is a lot that's been happening uh in the life of Paul up to this point. Um he's been beaten, he's been placed in jail, he's been uh called out not only by other believers uh but by unbelievers. Um, he kind of is starting to form um, and fill in to the man that we know as Paul. And here, uh, if we look, let me pull it up. 1 second. There's no. I'm trying to pull this up. I can share it really quick. So we haven't really looked at this in a while, but let me get to it. Right. So this is right our approximate timeline. Um, let me get to the right page. I decided not to share that page. Let's try that one more time. There we go. All right, there we go. Right. So just a little recap, right? This is approximate, right? Roughly 9 AD, Paul was born. Um, Here we see in 33 AD, Yeshua's crucifixion. Shortly after that is the stoning of Stephen. And then 34 AD, roughly, we have the conversion to the conversion of Saul, right, on the road to Damascus. So here we have 34 AD, right? And now, if we just go off of this approximate timeline, we are roughly around right here, right, where Paul is writing the book of First Corinthians. So if we just use some history, Josephus and others, we can kind of see, right? Paul visits Jerusalem. This is Galatians 1. There's the famine in Jerusalem. Agrippa first is still there, right? He hasn't died yet. We see 11 years, 12 years later, Paul's on his first mission journey, right? Which we covered, right? This is that purple line where Paul goes out. So Paul does his first journey. And then we see Paul goes back to Jerusalem. This is Galatians 2. Paul confronts Peter in Antioch. And then here in 49 AD, approximately, is this Acts 15 debate where a majority of believers in the Messiah take this conversation right here and uh, choose to use this as a means of we have been freed from any and all accountability of our actions because the Messiah's blood covers it up. And to some degree, that is extremely true, but in the light in which they're looking at it, it is extremely false. So here we see Paul's second journey, and this is where we just read, right? His first and second Thessalonians letters are being written, and he's writing them from the people that he's talking about in this letter. So First Corinthians, when he's talking about the people about First Corinthians, he was with them in their presence when he wrote First and Second Thessalonians. Uh, Paul heads back into Jerusalem, And then, as we see, Paul is out on his third journey. Okay. So Paul's first journey, right? Paul's second journey, which we see is up in blue, right? Paul is right here in Corinth when he writes the letters to the Thessalonians, which is right up here. So Paul comes back to Jerusalem. Paul is out on his third mission, and we can see, right, he's all over the place. And if we look, right, written, 1 Corinthians, possibly written from Ephesians, right, Ephesus, which is right here. Oh, you can't see that. My mouse was on the wrong screen the whole time. Sorry. So, first journey, right? Second journey, here's Thessalonians. Here's Corinth, the Corinthians. So, Paul is writing in Corinth letters to Thessalonia. He returns back to Jerusalem. He comes back out on his third trip, goes all around, hits up Corinth, comes back, and here he is in Ephesus, the Ephesians, and he is writing back to the people of Corinth. So, arguably, this is where the first letter of Corinthians is being written. So, just a little back up. Roughly 34 AD, 35 AD, sometime in this region right here, Paul is being converted. And now here we are in 55 AD. So we are roughly 20 years of Paul going throughout this journey. So a lot has happened in the life of Paul. Although it's only taken us weeks to read through it, right, there's been a lot. So this is where we pick up here at the book of 1 Corinthians. And now we will begin. There's a lot that is being said here, and I highly advise this week, maybe instead of reading just the next couple chapters, go back and reread these chapters, because I believe the words of Paul require a pretty decent understanding of the Torah and of the scriptures in general, just to grasp what Paul is saying truly. And multiple reads. I think the more you read it, the more you see. So yeah. All right, 1 Corinthians. All right, Shaul, a called emissary of Yeshua Messiah by the desire of Elohim, and brother Sosthenes. So remember, just like we went back into Thessalonians, right? The letters to Thessalonia included others that also chimed in, and here we see the letter to the 1 Corinthians letter. There is somebody else that's also assisting Paul. And oh yeah, don't forget to tell them this, and don't forget that. All right. To the assembly of Elohim, which is in Corinth, to those who are set apart in Messiah Yeshua, called set apart ones, with all those calling on the name of Yeshua Messiah, our master, in every place, theirs and ours. So there's always this conversation, right? What are you? What are you? What religion are you? Who are you? Right? You can sum it up very easily, right? I'm a set apart one. I'm a set apart one under the calling of the name Yeshua Messiah, our master, right? I'm set apart through the master to the Father. What religion are you? Yeshua set me apart for the Father. That's what religion I am. That's what I believe in. That the Son has given me knowledge to set myself apart from all of those who are against the Father. So I am set apart by our Master Yeshua Messiah for the Father. 3. Favor and peace from Elohim our Father and the Master Yeshua Messiah. Do you guys think, right? We go back to that same questions. Is Paul preaching another gospel? Is he preaching another Messiah? Is he preaching another God? Is he teaching something different than what we've seen from out the whole entirety of Scripture? 4. I thank my Elohim always concerning you for the favor of Elohim which was given to you by Messiah Yeshua. Think about that. The favor of the Father, the grace of the Father, the acceptance of the Father, which was given to you by Yeshua Messiah. If you make a little note right here on verse 4 and just make a line and say John 14:6. Right? I am the way, the truth, the life. No man comes to the Father except through me alone. Yeshua has given us the favor of the Father. 5. That in him you were enriched in every word and in all knowledge, as the witness of Messiah was confirmed in you. Think about verse 6. The witness of Messiah was confirmed in you. Right? If I were to say in a court of law, and today I am a witness of the crimes committed, you are saying, beyond a reasonable doubt, to the best of your judgment, knowledge, memory, you are testifying that you have seen and know it to be true that this individual has committed this crime. That's what a witness is. So, think about what verse 6 says. As the witness of Messiah was confirmed in you. Does this sound like Paul snuck in somebody's window and saw him praying and was like, oh man, I have witnessed the Messiah confirmed in you? Maybe, but maybe Paul saw that guy 2 hours earlier feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, taking in the orphan, and not worrying about, oh, hey, did you guys see me? Yeah, I was over there just feeding some really hungry people. Right? This witness that the Messiah is being confirmed, it's something that would be a constant throughout the day, throughout the month, throughout the year, throughout the life. Not just one small instance. But Paul's saying, I have witnessed that the Messiah is confirmed in you. So circle that in you. Then circle Messiah and draw a line from Messiah to in you and circle it. Remember what Paul said, right? We read it. We're going to go back and read more, but he said that the Messiah is confirmed to be in you. 7. So that you are not lacking in any gift, eagerly waiting for the revelation of our Master Yeshua Messiah. Guys, think about this. Has the book of Revelations been written in this instant? No, it was not. It was not. John's not on Pathos right now. Pathmos. John's not. How would what do you think Paul is referencing when he's saying that they are eagerly waiting the revelation of our Master Yeshua Messiah? What is he saying this revelation is? Verse 8, who also confirmed to you the end. Okay, so now we know that this revelation of Yeshua Messiah, the Master that Paul is speaking of, has to do with the end. He says, unreprovable, meaning will not be cast off to the side, will not be altered, changed, found in error. He's saying unreprovable in the day of our Master Yeshua Messiah. We look and go, well, they didn't really know these things, or well, this stuff hadn't occurred yet. So how could they know about these things? Well, Paul just said we are eagerly waiting for the revelation of our Master Yeshua Messiah, when in the end we will be found unreprovable in the day of our Master. Paul obviously knew and had an understanding of some type of revelation of the Master where he comes in the end and he gathers his Father's people. But the book of Revelation had not been written. The visions had not been given unto John yet. Do you think that maybe Paul is using all of Scripture, i.e., the prophets, and saying Yeshua the Messiah is the fulfillment of these prophecies, and he is the one who will come? And when these prophecies are fulfilled in the end days, like, I don't know, Isaiah, I don't know, Ezekiel, I don't know, Jeremiah, maybe Paul's using the words of the prophets to say, that's Yeshua. Oh my goodness, Isaiah is talking about, Ezekiel's talking about, Jeremiah is talking about, Hosea is talking about, Malachi is talking about, Joel's talking about Yeshua. Verse 9, Elohim, our Father, is trustworthy, by whom you were called into the fellowship of his Son, Yeshua Messiah. And I didn't put this in here, but I should have. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to pull this up. Give me 2 seconds. Dun, 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 dun. Let me drag this over. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 8. This is not what I want. 1 second. We'll jump over here. It's in John. I just don't remember where it's at. But if we go to Matthew 16, we read this, I believe, the week before last. Right? He says, this is Matthew 16, and we'll start at verse 13. Right? He said, now when Yeshua came into the parts of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his taught ones, saying, who do men say the son of Adam is? And they said, some say Yohanan the Immerser, and others say Eliyahu, and others Yirmiyahu, or one of the prophets. Some say you're John the Baptist, others say you're Elijah, some say you're Jeremiah, and some say you're one of the prophets. And he said unto them, and you, who do you say that I am? And Simon Caiaphas answering, Peter, said, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim. And Yeshua answering said to him, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Yona, Simon, Peter, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in the heavens. Right? So Yeshua says, hey, who's everybody saying I am? Oh, they're saying you're this and this and this and this. What do you guys think? Simon Caiaphas, Peter says, You are the Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim. And how does Yeshua respond? Does Yeshua say, oh, you've read much. Oh, you've understood much. You've had great learning. You've gone to school. You went to seminary. You did this. You sat in your Bible study Sunday schools and listened well. No, he said, flesh and blood, meaning no human being has revealed this, but my Father in the heavens has revealed this. So when Paul says, right, Elohim is trustworthy, by whom you were called into fellowship of his Son, Yeshua Messiah, our Master. Paul is saying that the Father has revealed unto you his Son, Yeshua Messiah. So Paul's in agreement with Yeshua in this instance. 10. I'll find that John verse and we'll look it up later. I think it might be in John 6. And I appeal to you, brothers, by the name. Think about this. I closed out of it. But let's just look at this really quick. Think about what Paul just said. Think about what Paul just said. Let's come back here. Think about this. No. Okay, think about this. Here's Paul. Okay, where is Paul born at? Right here, Tarsus. Here's Paul. This is where Paul's born at. Where is Paul at currently? Well, potentially he's here in Ephesus. But who's Paul writing to? The Corinthians. So here's where the letter's being directed. Here's where Paul's writing the letter from. And here's where Paul is born. Yet Paul's calling these people brothers. Think about that. Born, authoring from, writing to. Hey, brothers. Think about that. Why would Paul be calling these people brothers? What did Yeshua say? Remember when Yeshua's on the stake? Oh, he's on the stake yet. He's about to be there, and a lot is going on, and there's a lot of commotion, and the disciples come up and say, Master, your mother and your brothers are here. And he says, who is my mother, who are my brothers, and who are my sisters? And he says, those who do the will of my Father in heaven, that is my mother, that is my brother, and that is my sisters. So you think this witness that the Messiah is being confirmed in these men that are awaiting the revelation of Yeshua Messiah for the end, where we will be given white raiment so that we can be acceptable and agreed upon and welcomed by the Father into his home, in which the Messiah is going to prepare a place for us? Because we have placed our trust in his Son, Yeshua Messiah. And in that, right, John 6, 36, 37, 38, those that see the Son, trust and believe in the Son, that I will raise them in the last day. This is the will of my Father who has sent me. Brothers. That's why Paul's calling these people brothers, because these people are placing their trust in Yeshua the Messiah. So he's saying, hey, others who have also placed their trusts in our Master. And I appeal to you, brothers, by the name of our Master Yeshua Messiah. So he's saying, hey, brothers, I appeal to you in the whole reason we're brothers. The name of the Master Yeshua Messiah is the reason we're brothers. That you all agree. That there be no division among you, but that you be knit together in the same mind and in the same opinion. Now, is this actually going to happen? Most likely not. There will always be division to some extent, to some degree. There will always be division. right? In the smallest of minute issues, there will be division. And that's because of us. But at the end of the day, our goal should be that we are all in agreement, in unity, knit together in the same mind and the same opinion. That's why Paul says there's one God, one faith, one mind, one religion. I've brought this up before. We've discussed this. This color red right here, this is red. But there's a special name exactly made for this shade of red. Depending on our background, our upbringing, our education, our knowledge, our wisdom, all these things, we will all argue that this is a different. I'm going to say it's fire engine red. Somebody says this is Chipotle red. Well, at the end of the day, there is a truth. There is an actual truth. We could be close, but there is a truth. And if we say, Father, I don't care what color red it is, just let me know what red it is. And when you've told me that's the red, it will be. That's where we should all be. If we were all had that mindset of, Father, whatever color it is, it's that. Just tell me what color it is so I know and I know what to look out for. And then somebody else comes along and goes, I know that's red. I'm not sure what specific red that is. And you go, hey, why don't you ask the Father? I'm sure he'll tell you. And then you go, okay, on the count of three, 1, 2, 3, and you both say whatever. Well, guess what? You're of one mind. You're in agreement that this is whatever red. And there's no more division because you both know that that's that red. And you're in the same mind and same opinion. Now apply that a billion times over for everything. But at the end of the day, there is a truth. Right? Well, if there's one truth, then if there's one truth, then how do we get to this chaos that we know of as the world? Right? We all look at these religions and all these things and we go, man, we should all be in one mind, one opinion, in agreement, no divisions. Right? So let's jump to the writings of Peter. We've read this a couple of times now. We've referenced First Peter a couple times. And if you go back to Paul's writings, we'll see after Paul goes to Mount Sinai, where he goes and who he goes to for understanding. 1 Peter 3, verse 8, to sum up, let all of you be like-minded. Sounds the same. Sympathetic, loving as brothers, tender-hearted, humble-minded, not returning evil for evil or reviling for reviling, but on the contrary, blessing. Knowing that you were called to this, there it is, you were called in order to inherit a blessing. It's not yours, but you can inherit it if you receive this calling. For he who wishes to love life and see good days, let him keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Remember those, you'll see those words again. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace and pursue it. Because the eyes of Yahweh are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers. But the face of Yahweh is against those who do evil. That should sound familiar. And who is the one doing evil to you if you become imitators of the good? But even if you suffer for righteousness' sake, you are blessed. And do not fear their threats, neither be troubled, but be set apart. Yahweh your Elohim in your hearts. Always be ready to give an answer to everyone asking you a reason concerning the expectation that is in you, in you. The expectation of Yeshua Messiah that is in you with meekness and fear. Having a good conscience, so that when they speak against you, when they speak, not if, when they speak against you as doers of evil, those who falsely accuse your good behavior in Messiah will be ashamed. I have had a couple of people tell me that keeping the Torah, being obedient unto the Torah, is denouncing the blood of the Messiah. We are refuting Yeshua when we attempt to keep the commands that our Father has given us. And they speak evil against you because denouncing the Messiah is evil. We all agree on that. We should all agree on that. But who falsely accuse your good behavior in Messiah, they'll be ashamed. 17, highlight this if you don't have it highlighted, which you probably do. For it is better, if it is the desire of Elohim, to suffer for doing good than doing evil. Think about that. Think about what that's saying. You're going to suffer, and you're either suffering for the good of the Father or the evil of the world. 18, because even Messiah once suffered for sins, the righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to Elohim, having been put to death indeed in flesh, but made alive in the Ruach, in which also he went and proclaimed unto the spirits, the souls, in prison. This is interesting. Who were disobedient one time when the patience of Elohim waited in the days of Noah while the ark was being prepared, in which a few, that is, 8 beings, were saved through water, which figure now also saves us immersion, not putting away with the filth of the flesh, but the answer of a good conscience toward Elohim, through the resurrection of Yeshua Messiah. Remember, immersion, baptism, is not about cleaning your flesh. It's about cleaning your conscience. Think about that. 22, who having gone into heaven is at the right hand of Elohim, messengers and authorities and powers having been subjected to him. The revelation of John has not been written. John has not seen Yeshua the Messiah. Remember, John is standing there with the messenger, and they are looking all through the heavens, saying, who is worthy to open the scroll? This is Revelation. And they said, none is worthy to open the scroll. And the messenger, they're crying out, and John falls, and the messenger says, look, yet here comes a slain lamb, and it is found worthy. He is found worthy to open the scroll, and all judgment, all authority, all power being handed over to him. Wait, but what did Peter just say? Who, having gone into heaven, is at the right hand of Elohim. Messengers and authorities and powers having been subjected to him. What did Peter know? So here's Paul, right? Paul's saying, hey, there should be no divisions among you. Peter's saying, be like-minded. Be at peace with your brothers. Turn from evil and do good. Even if that doing good makes you suffer, it's better to suffer for the work of the Father and the desire, the will of our Father, than to do evil. He says, back to 1 Corinthians, and I appeal to you, brothers, by the name of our Master Yeshua Messiah, that you all agree, and that there be no divisions among you, that you be knit together in the same mind and the same opinion. For I have been informed concerning you, my brothers, by those who are the house of Chloe, that there are strifes among you. What I mean to say is this, that each one of you says, I am of Paul, Shaul, I am of Apollos, I am of Caiapha, or I am of Messiah. Okay? So Paul's writing to the people of Corinth, And he's saying, some of you are saying, well, I'm a disciple of Paul. I follow Paul. Well, some of you say, I follow Paul. Some of you say, I'm following Peter. Some of you say, oh, I'm just following the Messiah. And we look at each other and go, well, yeah, they just, you know, they're all Christians. Let's just be real, guys. They're all Christians. Well, what about today? Did you know that today in a study, in a poll of Christians, believers in the Messiah, that they argue there's 45,000 to 47,000 different denominations? Oh, but there's no division among us. And they're arguing that that number is going to even increase. Dude, this is a couple years ago. There's a lot of people that debate this number, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be this high. It doesn't have to be this low. But if you really think about it, right? When you sit inside of a pew, you go to a church, you go to Walmart, you go to King Supers, you go to the grocery store, you have a discussion with somebody, and they go, oh, yeah, no, no, no. I believe 90% of what you believe, except I believe this 10% to be different. And then somebody else comes up and they say, yeah, I believe 90% of what you believe and what you believe, but I only believe but 10% of what you guys believe, I believe something different. That doesn't sound like one mind or one body, right? There's 6 major branches of Christianity: Catholicism, Protestantism, Eastern Orthodoxy, Oriental Orthodoxy, and Restorationism and Church of the East. Now, these right here are just of the larger branches, okay? But if you break down Catholicism, there's many versions of Catholicism. If you break down this one right here, Protestantism, Christianity, right? Somebody that says I'm a Christian falls under right here. So here we are walking around this maze trying to figure out who we are, right? These guys over here are like, hey, I got all the answers, but I got no questions. And these guys say, well, we have all these questions, but we don't have no answers, but they're holding the same book. So you think that we're any better off than the people were that Paul's writing this letter to? Think of how many different types of Christianity that you've experienced and you've seen and you've read about or heard about. And you're just you. Imagine if everybody got together and put them up. I think this number is probably arguably justifiable. So, what is Paul asking though? He's saying, brothers, those who do the will of my Father in heaven, through the name of the Master Yeshua Messiah, the Son of Elohim, that we can agree and that there's no divisions and that we be like the same person. So that if I'm asked a question, my answer is the same as your answer. All right. 13. Has the Messiah been divided? Was Shaul impaled for you? Or were you immersed in the name of Shaul? Were you immersed in my name? I thank Elohim that I immersed not one of you except Crispus and Gaius, that no one should say that I immersed into my own name. Remember that time when Paul, I believe it's Paul and Silas, are telling the people they should not be sacrificing, and they go, look, the gods have descended upon us. The gods are in our presence. We must perform sacrifices. And Paul's like, no, 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 no. We are but mere men. And they're like, oh, get out of here. and they're trying to convince them to stop sacrificing, but they just won't listen and they leave. Right? And Paul's like, man, I'm so glad that I only immersed a couple of you because I don't want anybody to walk around and say that I was immersing people in my name. What happens today when you get baptized? They say, "Oh, well, I baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit." But what are they really saying? Think about this. What do they really mean by this? If I tell you I went to college, what is the first question you're going to ask me? There's two questions that come right after that, right? Oh, what did you major in? Or what did you study? And what's the second one? Where did you go? Well, I went to college, and you went to college, and he went to college, and she went to college. We all went to college. Great. Okay, yeah, you might have gone to college, but where did you go to college? Well, why does that matter? We've all achieved the same level of education, correct? Well, no. If you got here, okay, hey, I was immersed, you were baptized, you were baptized. But where'd you get baptized? Who'd you get baptized through? Oh, I got baptized through the Pentecostal Southern Revivalists. What is that? Well, I got baptized through the Seventh day Baptists. What is a Seventh day Baptist? Well, it's like a Southern Baptist, but they just worship on Saturdays. Well, I got baptized in the bathtub in my house. Are those other ones who got baptized in this big organization going to look at that man and go, that's not, you can't do that. That you're not allowed to do that. The bathtub's got to be in a church. It can't just be in your home. Right? Our immersion in to the faith, into the trust of the Messiah, right? Were you immersed into the trust that Yeshua the Messiah is the Son of Elohim and that one day he will return to gather his Father's remnant? Then we are of the same immersion. If that's when you were immersed and that was your understanding when you went into the water, it wasn't about cleaning your body, it was about cleaning your conscience. And your conscience should have said, I now trust in the Master Yeshua Messiah. I know where my trust is, and I know what my duty is. I might not understand it, and I might need way more instructions, and I might need more education and knowledge into it, but I know where my trust is, and my trust is in Him. Then you're in the same immersion. But what's happening? There's a division amongst the people, and they're saying, well, your immersion's not as good as mine. Or, well, I am of the Messiah, and I am of Paul. Well, I'm of Peter. I'm under the line of Peter. That shouldn't matter. We are of the Father because He has called us to His Son, and now we know His Son, and that's where our trust has been placed in the Son. He said in 16, now I did also immerse the household of Stephanas. This is not the Stephen that is stoned, in case anybody's wondering. You'll see this man later on in Corinthians. For the rest, I did not know whether I immersed anyone else. Right? He's just recollecting, right? He's thinking 20 years I've been going on this. These are the people I know I have, but I don't know if there was anybody else that you know of that would talk to you that I have immersed. For Messiah did not send me to immerse, but to bring the good news, not with wisdom of words, that the stake of Messiah should not be nullified. So this is an interesting verse, right? He says that he did not send me to immerse, but to spread the good news. He did immerse people, but that's not what he was here for, right? That's not what he felt his calling was. His calling was to bring the good news, and not through the wisdom of words. But Paul talks about it a lot. The Spirit. I think this is what Paul really, really gathers up, right? Bringing the good news through the Ruach. So that the stake, the sacrifice of the Messiah is not nullified. For the word of the stake is indeed foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of Elohim. Think about that. The word, the good news, the word of the stake, Yeshua's crucifixion and resurrection and death, his promise, his fulfillment of prophecy, the fulfillment of prophecy in Yeshua Messiah, is indeed foolishness to those who are perishing. Someone who's bleeding out, they get really thirsty. That water will never quench the thirst. That water will not save them. So handing that person a cup of water, right? Although comforting, it's kind of foolish because it's just wasting water, right? But if you're dying of dehydration, if you're dying of thirst, and you're at that edge where a cup of water can send you back into, okay, he's rough, but he's going to live. Well, maybe that's that water that Yeshua speaks of in John 4 to the woman at the well. When he says, all those who thirst come to me, I give them water and they never thirst again. That's everlasting life. When you are having a conversation with a loved one or a neighbor or a random person, and you realize that they just don't care, well, maybe it's just best that you move on. Yeshua gave us that advice. He said, if you enter to a town or a village and they choose not to accept the truth, then move on. He doesn't say hang around. He doesn't say argue. He doesn't say yell. He doesn't say scream in their face. He doesn't say to say mean things. He doesn't say condemn them. He doesn't say tell them they don't know what they're talking about and they're all stupid. He says just move on. There is somebody who is willing to be saved and willing to hear, and they're just waiting, right? Because it's foolish to those who are perishing. If somebody's set their mind to it, your words are just another breeze blowing through the area, right? It might ruffle some feathers, but eventually it'll pass and we'll just move on and forget about it. It's, yeah, side note, whatever. 19. For it has been written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and set aside the learning of the learned ones. I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and set aside the learning of the learned ones. What do you think Paul's talking about? Right? Let's jump back to Isaiah. Let's jump back to Isaiah. This is chapter 29, verse 8. He says, and as men drink and eat and sleep, when they have arisen, the dream is in vain. And as a thirsty man dreams as if he drank, and having arisen, he is still thirsty, and his soul has desired in vain. So shall be the wealth of all the nations. As many as have fought against the Mount Sion, faint you and be amazed and be overpowered, not with strong drink nor with wine. This man who is thirsty has dreamed that he has drank, But when he wakes up, he's still thirsty. Why? Because his soul is desiring in vain. He's given himself over. Remember, we read in Ezekiel, right? He said, if someone has set their heart to this, and I know they will not be budged, well, when they call upon me, then yeah, you're sick. You knew it. You're right. You knew it. Think about that. 10. For Yahweh has made you to drink a spirit of deep sleep. And he will close their eyes and the eyes of their prophets and all their rulers who see secret things. Remember what Paul said. Remember what Paul said, right? He said, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and set aside the learning of the learned ones. Said, all of the things will be to you as the words of this sealed book, which if they shall be given to a learned man, saying, read this, he will say, I cannot read it, for it is sealed. And the book will be given into the hands of the man that is unlearned. And that one will say unto him, read this. And he will say, I'm not learned. And Yahweh says, this people draw near to me with their mouth. They honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching the commandments and doctrines of men. Where have you heard that before? Where have you heard those exact words before? Maybe you should circle, if you're there, 13, and maybe write Yeshua. 14. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to remove this people. I will remove them. I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and I will hide the understanding of the prudent. Paul said, is it not written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and remove the learning from the learned? Oh, woe to them that deepen their counsel, and not by Yahweh. Woe to them that take secret counsel, and whose works are in darkness. And they say, who has seen us? And who will know us? Or what will we do? Shall you not be counted as clay of the potter? Shall not the thing formed say to him that formed it, you did not form me? Or the work of the maker, you have not made me wisely? You know, all these people that are sitting here saying, well, God just made a mistake when he made me, right? I should have been a boy, or I should have been a girl, or I should have been this, or I should have been that. Oh, really? So you're telling the Father that he didn't make you wisely? He didn't know what he was doing? The pot looks at, right? The thing formed says to him that formed it, you did not form me. And the work of the maker says, you have not made me wisely. So Paul says, I will, right? It's been written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and I will set aside the learning of the learned ones. Where is the wise? Where is the scholar? Where is the debtor of this age, the baiter of this age? Has not Elohim made foolish the wisdom of this world? I will tell you right now, there are a few people that stand up in front of the world, think they're speaking wisdom, and in reality, they're just talking foolishness. There's a lot of people from this little thing called Artemis that are sitting on the internet right now talking about a bunch of stuff. That's this foolish wisdom of the world. For since in the wisdom of Elohim, the world through wisdom did not know Elohim, it pleased through the foolishness of preaching to save those who believe. So Can I argue the point that Paul's saying that if you are put your wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding, your belief in this world, that you don't know the Father? Well, I know we evolved from monkeys. Though then your trust is not in the Father. Your wisdom's not in the Father. Trust is definitely not in the Son. Well, I know the Big Bang Theory occurred, that nothing exploded in nothingness and created everything that's ever expanding and never ending. Come on, guys. Well, that's foolish wisdom of the world, and that is not wisdom of the Father. And that wisdom doesn't include the Father, therefore, it doesn't know the Father. And since the Yehudim seek a sign, and the Greeks seek wisdom, yet we proclaim Messiah impaled. To the Yehudim, a stumbling block, and to the Greeks, foolishness. So my question is, are we seeking a sign? Because if we do, we'll get a stumbling block. Are we just seeking wisdom? Because if we do, we'll gain foolishness. But if we're seeking the master, then what are we really seeking? Right? What are we really going after? But to those who were called, both Yehudim and Greeks, Messiah, the power of Elohim and the wisdom of Elohim. Oh, so if we seek the Messiah and we believe it to be the Messiah to be impaled, and he is the Messiah, then that helps us with the power and the wisdom of the Father. For the foolishness of Elohim is wiser than man, and the weakness of Elohim is stronger than men. For look at your calling, brothers, that they were not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, and not many noble. Think of the disciples that Yeshua chose. Think of the 12. Think of their jobs. Think of their. Do you remember that one time when he was like, oh, yeah, here's my 10th disciple, the prince of. Here's my 9th disciple, the Lord of this area. Here's my 8th disciple, this mighty warrior, this valiant man who has fought many of battles. Here's my 7th disciple. He is the teacher of teachers. Think about that. Think about the people that Yeshua called to be around him. All right, Luke 9. Think about also, too, when the Yehudim are standing there to Yeshua saying, give us a sign, give us a sign, give us a sign. You realize that there is a chance that Paul could have been in that crowd. It's not that far-fetched to think that Paul could have been standing in that crowd. And it came to be on the next day, especially when they're in Jerusalem, because Paul's going to be keeping the Torah, which means he's going to be returning to Jerusalem for the feasts, which means when Yeshua is standing there in the crowd speaking at the feasts, there's a very high chance that Paul is in earshot. He's looking at Yeshua speak these things. That's not far-fetched to be, because they'd both be in the same area. And with Paul's stature and Paul's teacher being on the Sanhedrin Council and Paul being able to speak directly and be commissioned directly by Caiaphas the high priest, it means that Paul would have been roaming around during the feast days with these men. So it's a very good chance that Paul was standing there with the Pharisees saying, give us a sign, give us a sign. So let's jump to Luke chapter 9. It says, on the next day it came to be, when they came down from the mountain, that a large crowd met him. Why did I highlight that? Yeshua, a large crowd met him. And see, a man from the crowd cried out, saying, Teacher, I beg you, look at my son. for he is my only child. And see, a spirit seizes him, and he suddenly cries out, and it convulses him with foaming, and scarcely leaves him, bruising him. When I read these two verses, and I don't know if you guys have ever done it, but it's something that I like to do. I like to try to reword this loosely and to see if I could fit this into context today. And I go, and see, a man from the city cries out, saying, Doctor, look at my son. He is my only child. And see, something comes over him. And he begins to yell and scream out and convulse. And sometimes his mouth foams. And it's kind of a lot, like it's all the time. Right? It barely leaves him. And he ends up being wounded because of it. And now here I am begging you. Can you give me some more medicine so that he'll be calm? Can you try to find out what's wrong with him? A man, see, from the crowd crying out, saying, Teacher, Rabbi, right? Saying, Yeshua, Master, Teacher. I beg you, look at my son, for he is my only child. And see, a spirit seizes him. You would never find anybody going to a doctor's office today saying, he must have an unclean spirit in him. But he suddenly cries out and convulses with foaming, and it scarcely leaves him. But it bruises him. And I begged your taught ones to cast it out, but they were unable. And Yeshua answering says, O generation, unbelieving and perverse, how long will I be with you to put up with you? Bring your son here. So I imagine this being in like today's world, where a man takes his child into the doctors because there's just something wrong. And he says, I've taken him to other doctors and physicians, but they weren't able to do anything. And this doctor says, Oh, I know what the problem is. Bring your child here. And instead of having this unclean spirit removed from them, they sedate them. Because we're modern day Christians, we don't believe in spirits. That's silly. But yet, here it is. Yeshua says, Bring me your son. And as he was still coming, he's not even at the Messiah yet. He's not even in the direct presence of Yeshua. The unclean spirit threw him down in convulsions. You think this is to prevent the boy's father from bringing him to Yeshua? And Yeshua rebukes the unclean spirit, heals the child, and gave him back to his father. He removes the unclean spirit and heals him. Of what? The bruising. This boy's body is probably all banged up. It says that the unclean spirit throws the boy down and then starts convulsing. Yeshua removes the unclean spirit and heals the child, and then he gives him back to his father. And they were all amazed at the greatness of Elohim. And they were all marveling that Yeshua did. And he said to his taught ones, Lay up in your ears these words. Store up what I'm about to tell you. Remember what I'm about to tell you. For the son of Adam is about to be delivered into the hands of men. But they did not understand this saying, and it was veiled from them so that they would not perceive it. It was veiled from them so that they would not perceive it. And they were afraid to ask him about this saying. And a reasoning arose among them, who might be greater of them. Think about that. They watch this thing happen. Yeshua's like, hey, keep in mind, don't forget that the Son of Man is about to be delivered into the hands of men. And they're like, what? What's he talking about? What's he saying? Right? Now it was veiled, it was made so that they didn't understand it. But instead of just asking him, they just keep quiet. And then there is a conversation, a reasoning among them, saying, hey, who is the greatest of us? Which one's better? 47. And Yeshua, having seen the reasoning of their heart, took a little child and placed him by his side. And he said to them, whoever receives this little child in my name receives me. And whoever receives me receives him who sent me. For he who is least among you all will be great. And Yohanan answering said, Master, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we forbade him because he does not follow with us. But Yeshua said, do not forbid him, for he is not against us, for he is us. So here are his disciples. They just watched something, right? They watched something occur. They see an unclean spirit destroying a young boy's body, and they're unable to do anything about it. And Yeshua is saying, how long do I have to be here? Why can you not accomplish this? Yeshua casts out the unclean spirit, rebukes it, heals the boy, gives him back to his father, and they are all amazed. And Yeshua says, hey, keep this up in your mind. Remember this. Don't forget that I'm about to be delivered into the hands of men. But they don't understand it because for some reason it's veiled from them, right? For some reason they can't understand it. But they don't want to ask him. And then here they are going, well, who do you think is the greatest among us? And Yeshua says, hey, whoever receives this child in my name receives me. Whoever receives me gains the Father, the one who sent me. For he who is among you, least among you, will be great. And then John's like, oh yeah, we saw this guy. He was casting out demons in your name. And we said, oh man, you're not with us because you're not following us. And Yeshua says, don't be against him, for he who is not against us is for us. So back to Corinthians. There was not a bunch of wise, according to the flesh, not mighty men, not nobles, but Elohim has chosen the foolish matters of this world to put to shame the wise. And Elohim has chosen the weak of the world to put to shame the strong, the least becoming the greatest. And Elohim has chosen the lowborn of the world, the least, the despised, the ones that are not, that he might bring them to naught the ones that are. Use the lowborn, the least, the despised the world to pull down those that are great according to the earth, so that no flesh should boast in his presence. And of him you are in Messiah Yeshua, who became for us wisdom from the Father, righteousness also, and set apartness in redemption, that as it has been written, let he who boasts, boast in Yahweh. You know how many times I've seen a video of a modern day pastor talking about all the amazing things that they've accomplished? Think about this. All of the things that they've accomplished. Master, Master, have we not cast out demons in your name? Have we not done good works in your name? Have we not prophesied in your name? Look at all these things we've done. Maybe if they said, Master, Master, have you not allowed us? Have you not used us as a tool to do your Father's will throughout the earth and all of these things? No, they're saying, look what we did. Look what we did. But even Paul is saying, let he who boasts boast in the Father. Where do you think this idea, where do you think Paul's getting this? Let's jump back to Jeremiah chapter 9. He said, thus says Yahweh, this is verse 23. Thus says Yahweh, let not the wise man boast in his wisdom. Let not the strong man boast in his strength. And let not the rich man boast in his wealth. But let him that boast boast in this, the understanding and knowing that I am Yahweh, that I exercise mercy and judgment and righteousness upon the earth. For in these things is my pleasure, says Yahweh. What's in his pleasure? Righteousness, mercy, just judgment, understanding, knowledge of the Father. Those are things he pleases in. 25. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, when I will visit upon all the circumcised their uncircumcision. What? How can circumcised be uncircumcised? And if they're circumcised, how can they have an uncircumcision? On Egypt and Edom, and on Edom, and the children of Ammon, and on the children of Moab, and on every one that shaves his face round about, even them that dwell in the wilderness. No, this is not about people shaving their face. Go look at what people did in Egypt. For the Gentiles are uncircumcised in flesh, and all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in their hearts. Oh, so when he visits the circumcised, the house of Israel, according to their uncircumcision, their hearts. Why? Well, they're not boasting in the Father. They're not boasting in the knowledge and the mercy and the judgment and the righteousness. They're boasting in their wealth, in their strength, in their wisdom. All right, chapter 2. And when I came to you, brothers, I did not come with excellence of speech or wisdom, proclaiming to you the witness of Elohim. For I resolved not to know any matter among you except Yeshua Messiah and him impaled. Right? Paul didn't come with all of their troubles and all of their worries being answered. Oh, yeah, I can fix that. Yeah, here's wisdom to fix that. Oh, you got this problem? Yeah, so this is what you got to do. He said, I didn't come to any of that stuff. I came to you in nothing except the wisdom of Yeshua Messiah and him impaled. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling. And my word and my preaching were not with persuasive words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit of power. Paul wasn't over there, just like we shouldn't be, saying, oh, let me tell you, let me tell you, well, hold on, let me just tell you this. Well, let me just tell you. Paul wasn't over there doing that. Paul was over there demonstrating the power of the Spirit. He was witnessing. Right? You remember when Paul is sitting? This is not this instance, but later in Paul's life, there's a shipwreck, and they get up onto shore, and then a snake comes, a viper, a venomous viper, and bites Paul. And what does the crew say? Oh my goodness, he just survived a shipwreck only to be bitten by this poisonous snake. He must have done something to make the gods mad. And Paul shakes off the snake and kills it. And they're like, well, for surely he'll be dead. And then shortly after, like, why is he not dead? How in the world is this guy not dead? He just got bit by this super poisonous snake. We all know this snake, and this snake kills people very quickly. How is Paul not dead? You don't think that's a demonstration of the power of the Ruach, the protection, right? No evil will come upon you, no beasts, no power will prevail against you. So there's a demonstration of the power of the Spirit right there. This didn't happen in this instance, happens later on in Paul's life, but Paul's saying, I didn't come to you with the ear tickling and the let me tell you much of the ways of this world. Wow, this man's so smart. He must know about the Bible because he's so smart in the world. Paul said, I came to you with nothing but the wisdom of Yeshua Messiah. 5, in order that your belief should not be in wisdom of men, but in the power of Elohim. Oh, so I didn't teach you about all this other stuff. I only taught you about the Messiah so that your belief is in the power of the Father, is in the understanding of Yeshua. 6, yet we speak wisdom among those who are perfect, and not the wisdom of this age, nor the rulers of this age that are being brought to naught. But we speak the wisdom of Elohim, which was hidden in secret, and which Elohim ordained before the ages for our esteem. If you want to do a little homework, go back and look at what prophets were told, write this thing down and keep it in secret, for it'll be revealed at a later time. 8, which none of the rulers of this age knew. For if they had known, they would have not impelled the master of our esteem. He's calling out the Sanhedrin Council specifically, right? They would be the rulers, right? Pilate, Caiaphas, Herod, Caesar, Agrippa, these men of power, the rulers, had they known these things, they would have been like the people crying out, do not slay our master, right? But as it has been written, eye has not seen and ear has not heard, nor have entered into the heart of man what Elohim has prepared for those who love him. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man what the Father has prepared for those who love him. Let's see what Paul's referring to. Isaiah 64. How could Paul have had the revelation of Yeshua Messiah in the end when he returns for his Father's people? Isaiah 64. If you would open the heaven, trembling will take hold upon the mountains from you, and they will melt. That sounds familiar. It almost sounds like mountains will melt. As wax melts before the fire. We've heard that before. And fire will burn up your enemies. Remember that. And your name will be manifest among the adversaries. Your name will be made known among the enemy, the adversaries. At your presence, the nations will be troubled. Whenever you will work gloriously, trembling from you will take hold from upon the mountains. Oh, mountains fall, rocks fall upon us, so we don't have to face the wrath of Elohim. For the great and terrible day of Yahweh has come upon us. 4, from of old we have not heard, neither have our eyes seen a God beside you. And your works which you will perform to them that wait for mercy. For these blessings will happen to them that work righteousness, and they will remember your ways. Behold, you were angry and we have sinned. Therefore we have erred, and we are all become unclean, and all our unrighteousness is filthy rag. And we have fallen as leaves because of our iniquity. Thus the wind will carry us away. And there is none that calls upon your name, or that remembers to take hold of you. For you have turned your face away from us, and have delivered us because of our sins. And now, Yahweh, you are our Father, and we are clay, all of us the work of your hands. Think about what was said. Does the clay, does the pot say to the one who makes it, you have not made me, or you've made me foolishly? We are like clay, all of us your work of your hands. Be not mad with us, be not angry with us, and remember not our sins forever. But now look on us, for we are your people. The city of your set apartness, your holiness, has become desolate. Zion has become as a wilderness, Jerusalem a curse. The house, our sanctuary, and the glory which our father blessed, has been burnt with fire. And all our glorious things have gone into ruin. And for these things you, O Yahweh, have withheld yourself and been silent and have brought us very low. But Elohim has revealed them to us through his Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh. For the Spirit searches all matters, even the depths of the Father, even the depths of Elohim. Right? We are like sheep, we've all gone astray, each and every one to his own way. Verse 11, for who among men knows the thoughts of man except the Spirit? For who among men know the thoughts of man except the Spirit of the man that is in him? So also the thoughts of Elohim, no one is known except the Spirit of Elohim. Think about that. The Spirit of Elohim is the only one that knows the thoughts of the Father. Well, if we have received that, right? What does that say for us? He says, and we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit that is from Elohim, in order to know what Elohim has favorably given us. So when I try to talk to somebody who chooses to forego the Spirit of Elohim, who chooses to rebuke the Spirit of Elohim, who chooses to not accept the Spirit of Elohim, is it not foolish for me to try to convince them of the Master? Because who knows what spirit is inside them except that man? He might know, might have invited it. "13, which we also speak not in words which man's wisdom teaches, but with the set apart Spirit teaches, comparing spiritual matters with spiritual matters." But the natural man does not receive the matters of the Spirit of Elohim, for they are foolishness to him. He is unable to know them because they are spiritually discerned. If you don't care, you don't care. If I don't care to ride a bicycle, well, then if I jump on a bicycle and somebody says, hey, ride with no hands, you're going to be like, absolutely not. I'm going to fall. I can't even ride a bike. I never cared to learn to ride a bike. But the person who cared to learn to ride a bike understands how the bike moves and feels the bike, and the bike becomes one with them. And then they no longer need to hold on to the handlebars to ride around and steer. They understand that the bike becomes one, and if they just lean and if they do certain things, that they actually don't need the handlebars to ride the bike. Right? So they're a little bit above it. They've spiritually discerned, right? This bike. And they're like, actually, I don't need to control the bike through the use of the handlebars. But to someone who has never cared to learn to ride a bike, will look at you and say, well, if you take your hands off the handlebars, you're going to crash because you can't steer. And you're like, no, you can, no, it's just, you kind of do this weird thing where you kind of like pivot on your hips. And they're, I don't know what you're saying. It doesn't even make any sense. The natural man does not receive the matters of the spirit of Elohim, for they are foolish to him, because he is unable to know them because they are spiritually discerned. When you're talking with people and you're discussing with family and friends and loved ones, sometimes they just won't understand because it's not a priority to them. They don't care to understand. They are happy and content in the place that they're at. And they have chosen this. So when they ask, the Father will give them that. Their heart is set upon it. 15. But he who is spiritually discerned, indeed all matters, but he himself is discerned by no one. Because who has known the mind of Yahweh, and who will instruct him? But we have the mind of Messiah. The spirit of Elohim knows the thoughts of Elohim. And when we allow the spirit of Elohim to be in us and to work around us, we have the thoughts of the Father placed upon us and in us. And we are of one thought and of one mind and of one body with the Father and the Son. When we have the mind of the Messiah, we now understand the Father. The Father sent the Son, and when the Son left, the Son, Messiah, Yeshua, sent us a helper, the set-apart Spirit. And that set-apart Spirit teaches us. And it gives us understanding into these spiritual matters, into spiritual discernment. And that spiritual discernment allows us to open up and unlock answers to these questions that trouble men. And others that do not allow the Spirit of Elohim, the set-apart Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, to enter into them through the means of Yeshua Messiah, well, then they don't understand what you're talking about. You don't eat pork. So you're telling me if you eat pork, you're going to hell? It's okay. You don't understand because you don't care to understand. You can't spiritually discern what I'm telling you. We are on a whole nother level. You're sitting here talking about something we're doing in the physical. And I'm saying, dude, we've given up out of our love and our spiritual connection and our spiritual discernment. We've given up this stuff. Oh, but we've made modern scientific and medical and advances. You no longer get trichinosis from pork. We figured out a way to do that so that you can eat it safely. That individual will look at you and say, this sounds foolish. You can eat bacon and be healthy. Get out of here. This is crazy. This is just crazy. It sounds foolish to them because the Spirit of Elohim is not in them, giving them spiritual discernment through the spiritual matters. That which the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart Spirit, can teach us. Well, is Paul the only guy saying this? Is Paul the only one saying this? Well, let's jump over here to the book of 1 John. He said, beloved ones, do not believe every spirit, but prove the spirit, whether they are of Elohim. Because many false prophets have gone out in the world. By this you know the spirit of Elohim. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua Messiah has come in the flesh is of Elohim. And every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua Messiah has come in the flesh is not of Elohim. Okay. I have a question for you. All of those people that say, well, God came down and became the Messiah, and then when he died, he went back up there. Do you think that that statement contradicts that the Father sent the Son in the flesh to come to his people? Do you think that that contradicts? Do you think that that could arguably say that they are not confessing that Yeshua Messiah has come in the flesh? Just think about side note. And this is the spirit of the anti-Messiah, the antichristo, the anti-Messiah, which you heard is coming and is now already in the world. What? The Antichrist has already been in the world this whole time, but John said it's going to be in this vaccine. John said it's going to be in this chip we put in our hands. My pastor said, verse 4, you are of Elohim, little children, and have overcome them, because he who is in you, there it is again, he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. He who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. They are of the world, therefore they speak as of the world, and the world hears them. We are of the Father, and one knowing the Father hears us. He who is not of the Father does not hear us. By this we know the spirit of truth and the spirit of delusion. Oh my goodness. When I speak to someone who claims to be in the Father and they hear us, we know that the spirit of truth is in them. When we speak to one of the Father and they do not hear us, we know that the spirit of delusion is in them. Beloved ones, let us love one another, because love of Elohim. He doesn't say hate those. He says love everyone, right? Let us love one another, because love is of Elohim, and everyone who has been born of Elohim and who knows Elohim. The one who does not love does not know the Father, for the Father's love. And by this we know the love of the Father was manifested in us, that the Father sent his only brought forth Son into the world in order that we might live through him. So Paul says, the natural man does not receive the matters of the Spirit of Elohim, but they think they're foolish. And they are unable to know them, because they are spiritually discerned. The spirit of delusion is upon them. The spirit of delusion is upon them. So when you speak of things that are spiritually in reference, spiritual matters, and they require discernment, spiritual discernment. Is this of the Father? Is this of delusion? Is this of another spirit? Spiritual discernment. John says, test all spirits, discern whether this is from the Father or from something else. Well, we already know that the spirit of the anti-Messiah is in the world. The spirit of the Antichrist is already there, and it's still here. And we know that when we talk to somebody of the Father and of the truth, and they hear us, well, then the spirit of truth is in them. And when they look at us dumbfounded, trying to understand how us giving up pork is somehow a salvation thing, well, then we know the spirit of delusion is in them. And we know that they don't have this discernment to discern if this spirit is of the Father or of something else. And these people go, I watched a video of a bouncer at a Christian concert, and he goes, man, I've been to a lot of concerts. I've been security for a lot of concerts, but there was something different in this atmosphere. There was definitely something in here. All of those people left that day, probably chanting, probably mumbling as the heathens do. And a spirit did come upon them, and they felt a spirit, and they walked away. And because their discernment was not up to par, the spirit of delusion fell upon them. And they left that Christian concert with a new understanding. I really connected with the Father. Are you sure it was him? John says, in this love that we loved Elohim, it's not that we loved the Father, but that he loved us, and he sent his Son to be an atoning offering for our sins. Beloved ones, if the Father so loved us, we also ought to love one another. No one has seen the Father any time. If we love one another, the Father does stay in us, and his love has been perfected in us. And by this we know that we stay in him, and he in us, because he has given us of his Spirit. And we have seen and bear witness to the Father that has sent the Son, the Savior of the world. Whoever confesses that Yeshua Messiah is the Son of Elohim, Elohim stays in him, and he stays in the Father. And we have known and believed the love of the Father that he has for us, because the Father is love. And he who stays in love stays in the Father, and the Father in him. And by this love has been perfected with us, in order that we might have boldness in the day of judgment. Paul says, stand, these men are waiting for the revelation of Yeshua Messiah, where we will be found unreprovable in the end. We are standing in boldness in the day of judgment because he is so, or as we in this world. We did what Yeshua asked us to do. We acted like Yeshua. We trusted in Yeshua. I don't need to worry. 18, for there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear holds punishment. And he who fears has not been made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us. If someone says, I love the Father, and hates his brother, then he's a liar. For the one not loving his brother, whom he has seen, how is he able to love the Father who he has not seen? We have this command from him, that the one loving the Father should love his brother too. Remember, Yeshua said, love your brother as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. I love my children, but when they do something wrong, I have to discipline them. The Father loves us, but when we do something wrong, he has to discipline us. I love my neighbor, but if they're doing something wrong, is it not our job to be like, hey, we're not supposed to do that? That's not good. Well, I can still love you. And if I didn't love you, I would keep my mouth shut. But there is a time when you've had 900 conversations or 1,000 conversations or 1,000,000 conversations or one that if you say, Father, what am I supposed to do? And he says, move on, then you move on. All right. Chapter 3. Think about this. Think about what Paul's about to say. Okay. He says, and I, brothers, was not able to speak to you as to spiritual ones, but as to fleshly, as to babes in the Messiah. Guys, I wasn't able to get into the deep, deep spiritual. I wasn't able to get to you in the deeper meanings of these things. I just scratched the surface. Why? He says, I fed you with milk and not with solid food. For from until now you were not able to receive it. And even now you are still not able. For you are still fleshly. For since there is envy and strife and division among you, and not fleshly walking according to man. So all of your strife and division, oh, I'm of Paul, I'm of Peter, I'm of the Messiah. Well, this is the way we're supposed to do. Well, this is how you do. Well, you don't know. Well, there's division. So he's saying, why? How are we even supposed to get into these deeper meanings when you don't even know what day of the week we're supposed to set apart? You're still walking according to the flesh. For one says, I am of Shaul, and another says, I am of Apollos. Are you guys not arguing in the flesh? What then is Apollos, and what then is Saul? But servants from whom you believed, as the master assigned to each. Who is Paul and who is Apollos? Apollo. He's just saying, hey, these are just people that have brought you the good news of the master. So, who are you? Right? Why are we so divided? Does this 45,000 doctrines really sound like what Paul was teaching here? What Paul has been telling the Corinthians in these letters? Does it sound like Paul's like, yeah, each man go his own way, start your own church, start your own understanding, have your own judgment and reasoning and countenance, do all of these things your own way, and then anybody that wants to follow you, you take them. Oh, you want to do it this? Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, those guys keep Sabbath on Wednesday because that's just the day they keep it on. No, that doesn't sound like what Paul was telling us. Did Yeshua want us divided and fighting amongst one another? Did Yeshua say, oh, yeah, I've come so you guys are super confused and that there's like 700 standards for my people, but then there's also the Father's people, so there's other standards for them. And then there's the standards for those who are of the Father and of me. Oh, and then there's also those who are of the Father before me, and then those who are of the Father that come after me. No, this is ridiculous. Why do we have so many divisions in the groups of believers that there's any small reason? Oh, well, we keep the Torah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we also keep the feasts and the statues and traditions of men. Oh, okay. So we're gonna. Well, we also believe that you're supposed to go to this place or to you have to be at a church or we also believe in this. Okay. Well, we could worship together. Well, no, we can't because. So, does this not sound like what Paul is telling the people of Corinth? And is Paul over here teaching a new gospel or preaching a different Messiah? Or does it sound like Paul is saying what was said before him? He says in Corinthians, I planted and Apollos watered. Cool. I planted the seed and he watered it. But without the Father, it didn't grow. I can go outside right now and put a bunch of fruit and a bunch of veggies and a bunch of herbs and a bunch of peppers in the ground. And I can put water on them. But if the Father doesn't want them to grow, they're not going to grow. And if the Father wants them to grow, He's going to grow them. And if I lack in watering and He wants them to grow, He'll make it rain. And if I'm watering them perfectly, the exact amount of water they need every day, and the Father doesn't want them to grow, He won't lend the soil to me. He'll harden the sun. He'll raise the sun and lengthen the days and move the clouds so there's no overcasts and dry up the land. It doesn't matter who planted and who watered. If the Father wants it to grow, it'll grow. And that's what Paul's getting at. It's the Father that is allowing us to grow because of our trust in the Messiah, not because of what school we went to or what teacher we were under or what church baptized us or how we got our roots and how we started or who it is the person that led us this way or who it is the person that told us these things or how we've come across this. Well, I went to this yeshiva and I learned all of these things. Well, if the Father wants you to grow, you'll grow. 7. So neither he who plants nor he who waters at all, but Elohim who gives the increase. And he who plants and he who waters are one, and each one will receive his own reward according to his own labor. This reminds me of the parable of the talent, right? When the master leaves, I think it's Matthew 25. The master leaves and he says, here's 5 talents, here's 2 talents, here's 1 talent. And when the master returns, the one with 5 says, Master, I have grown my 5 and I have doubled it. And the other says, Master, I have grown my 2 and I have doubled it. And that one returns and he says, Master, I knew you were a hard man, for you have reaped where you have not sown, and you have harvested where you have not laid seed, and you have taken that which was not yours. But I knew this, and I knew you were a hard one. So I hid this talent so that when you'd return, I'd give you exactly what you gave me. I would find no way, shape, or form to better, to double. And he looks at the first 2 and he says, you with 5 talents, you have been given many, and you will be given many in the kingdom. And he looks at the one with 2 and says, you have been given least, yet you will be in charge of many. And he looks at the one with 1 talent who hid it and said, you are wicked and lazy. Your talent will be taken and given to him with 10. Well, the one who planted might be the one who waters later. And the one who's watering now might be the one who plants later. It doesn't matter because they're going to receive the reward according to their labor. They're going to receive the reward according to their labor. Remember that and highlight that. And each one shall receive his own reward according to his labor. For we are fellow workers of the Father, and we are the field of the Father, the building of the Father, according to the favor of Elohim, which he has given us. As a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation. And another builds upon it, but each one should look how he builds on it. The foundation, Yeshua Messiah, has been given unto us, and we are to build upon that foundation. He says we should pay attention to how we're building on it, though. For no one is able to lay any other kind of foundation except that which is laid, which is Yeshua Messiah. And if anyone builds his own foundation with gold or silver or precious stone or wood or hay or straw, think about that. He builds another foundation. He removes Yeshua from the picture. Each one's work will be revealed, for the day will show it up, because it is revealed by fire. What happens if I stick gold in fire? What happens if I stick silver in fire? Or stones, or wood, or hay, or straw? They melt away, right? They lose their shape. They become liquid or burn up and cease to exist. The fire will prove the work of each one and what sort it is. Well, that fire won't burn up the foundation of Yeshua, will it? No. If anyone's work remains, which he is built on, he will receive a reward. Because he's building upon the Messiah. He's adding unto the Messiah. He's adding 5 talents unto the 5 talents the master has given him. He's adding the 2 talents unto the 2 talents the master has given him. But this one who built his own foundation, who went and dug a hole and buried it, well, when he returns, the work is burned up and he suffers a loss. The master says, I remove this talent from you and I give it to one with 10. But he himself shall be saved, but so as through the fire. So maybe in your building, you were in the wrong area. You were in the wrong mindset. You are building on another foundation. You come to the truth. You come to the Messiah and you realize, oh my goodness, what have I done? And you're standing there in the day of judgment and looking at your foundation, knowing you've given your life into Yeshua. But you're still thinking, man, I made that foundation. Oh my goodness, is it going to burn? Am I going to be? But Yeshua covers you, right? That foundation burns up, but he protects you, right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are placed into a furnace. And that furnace eats up men that place them inside of it. Those men didn't go in it. They were just pushing Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego into the fire. And that fire was so hot that it burned up the men that started it. But it didn't burn up the men that were placed inside of it, because those men had Yeshua. And the men standing at the door that were burned up did not. So the man can be saved even if he had made a mistake and he had built another foundation, as long as he realizes the foundation that he built was wrong and incorrect and repents of that. So let's jump to Revelation chapter 20. He says, and the adversary, the devil, who led them astray, was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet are. And they will be tortured day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne and him who was sitting on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, and there was no place found for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, least and great, those that realized their foundation was made in vain, but have given their life unto the Master, and those that have given their life unto the Master and lived the life the Master asked them to live, standing before the throne, and books were opened, and another book was opened. So books are opened, books are being opened, interesting. But then there's another book that's open, and that book is the book of life. And the dead were judged from what is written in the books, according to their works. Interesting. So there's a book that's opened, and then there's another book that's open, and that second book or other book is the book of life. And it says, from these books, meaning the book of life and the other books, they were opened and they were judged according to their works. Wait. What did Paul say? Oh, and each one will receive his reward according to his own labor, his own works. Okay? So these books are opened and they're judged according to their works. Maybe this is why James says faith without works is dead. And the sea gave up their dead and who were in it. And the death, Sheol, and Sheol, right? Sheol gives up those who were in them. And they were judged according to their works. And death and Sheol were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. If anyone was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of the fire. So is Paul justified in saying that in the end, what foundation we are building upon, whether it's Yeshua Messiah or our own, that there will be a time when fire will come and separate it? Because everything that was built that was not of Yeshua will be burned up? And if your work was built upon Yeshua the Messiah, the Master, then you receive a reward? What do you think that reward is? He said, do you not know, this is Corinthians 3, do you not know that you are the dwelling place of Elohim? The Father is in me, and if the Master is in me, the Father is in me. If the Father is in me, the Master is in me. You are the dwelling place of Elohim, and that the Spirit of Elohim dwells in you. Almost done, guys. You are the dwelling place, and the Spirit of the Father dwells in you. I'm going to be quick. We already read this about a month ago, but I'm going to reread it again. John 14. Let not your heart be troubled. Believe in the Father. Believe in me, Yeshua also. In my Father's house are many staying places. And if not, I would not have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again to receive you to myself, that where I am going, you might go too. You will go. And there you will know, and the way you know. And Thomas said to him, Master, how do we know where you're going? And how are we able to know the way? And Yeshua Messiah said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the way. I am the way. What way? The way into the Father. It says, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you have known my Father. From now on, you know him and have seen. And Philip said to him, Master, show us the Father, and it is enough for us. And Yeshua said, have I been with you so long, and have you not known me, Philip? He who sees me has seen the Father. And how do you say, show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak from myself, but the Father who stays in me does his work. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. Otherwise, believe me because of the work themselves. Truly, truly, I say unto you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he will also do. And greater works than these he will do, because I go to my Father. And whatever you ask in my name, I will do, in order that the Father will be esteemed in the Son. And if you ask whatever in my name, I will do it. If you love me, you will guard my commands. And then we'll ask the Father, and he will give you another helper to stay with you forever, meaning it's still here today with us. The Spirit of truth, whom the world is unable to receive. Remember that. It is foolish to talk to somebody who's of the world because they can't receive it. They don't want it. They don't understand it. They won't get it. Because it does not see him, the Father, or know him, the Father. But you know the Father, for the Father stays in you. In you, will be with you. I do not leave you orphans. I am coming to you. Yet a little while, and the world will no longer see me. But you will see me, because I live, and you will. And in that day you will know that I am in my Father, and that you in me, because I'm in you. He who possesses my command and guards them is he who loves me, and he who loves me will be loved by my Father. And I will love him, and I will manifest myself to him. He who possesses my commands and guards them is he who loves me. And he who loves me will be loved by my Father. And I will love him, and I will manifest myself to him. Judah, not the one from Kerith, said to him, Master, what has come about you that you are to manifest yourself to us and not into the world? Wait, Master, you're saying you're going to show yourself to those who believe and trust and know, but not to everyone else? And Yeshua answered and said, if anyone loves me, he will guard my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our stay with him. He does not know me, he who does not love me, does not guard my word. And the word which you hear is not mine, but it's of the Father who sent me. These words I've spoken to you while I am still with you. But the Helper, the set apart Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit of truth, the Comforter, whom my Father will send you in my name. He will teach you and remind you of all that I have said to you. So when John says the Ruach HaKodesh is the teacher and we need no other, this is why. Because he heard Yeshua say, the Spirit of truth will come, my Father will send in my name, and the Spirit of truth will teach you and remind you of everything that I have said. This is why when you try to speak to people about Yeshua Messiah and the Spirit of truth is not in them, it sounds foolish because they don't know. They can't know. They won't understand. They can't understand. It says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. I am giving you something out of this world. The world cannot give you this. I'm giving it to you. Right? I've asked my Father, Father, give this unto them, and he's agreed. All right, we're going to wrap this up and then we'll pick up next week. It says, if anyone destroys the dwelling place of Elohim, Elohim will destroy him. For the dwelling place of Elohim is set apart, which you are. Let no one deceive him. If anyone among you seems to be wise in his age, let him then become foolish so that he might become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness. The wisdom of this world is foolishness with Elohim. For it is written, he catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, Yahweh knows the thoughts of the wise, that they are worthless. So then, let no one boast in men, for all belongs to you. Whether Shaul, Apollos, Caiapha, the world, life, death, present, future, all belongs to you. And you belong to the Messiah, and the Messiah belongs to the Father. The men that go after Daniel devise a plan. I know. We will say anybody who prays to any other god but Nebuchadnezzar for the next 30 days is evil and shall be placed in the lion's den. And that is how we will kill Daniel. So they use their wisdom of the Persian law that once a king says something, it cannot be undone. And they go, oh, king, sign this. And he says, oh, yeah, that's right. This is a good thing, right? This should be done, right? They do the same thing with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego against Nebuchadnezzar. They say, everybody's got to bow, right? And they're like, yeah, that's a good thing. Everybody that doesn't bow at my statue will be placed into a furnace. Who gets thrown into the furnace? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And when they are called out, when Nebuchadnezzar says, did we not throw 3 men in, but I see 4? And they said, oh, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the Elohim of Israel that has saved you from this fire has been with you. Come out. And they walk out. Guess what? Those wise men that came up with this plan, they get thrown into the fire. Their wisdom and their craftiness is their downfall. And when later on, when the other wise men convince the king to throw Daniel into the lion's den, and Daniel's lowered down there, and the next morning the king fasts and prays and comes out in the first light. Daniel, has your God saved you? He says, yes, let the king live forever. My God has saved me. And he pulls him out and goes, okay, I see that this was just a crafty, deceiving thing that my wise men have come up with. Okay. And he throws them into the lion's den and they get eaten and torn apart. It's the same thing. The Father is going to take the wisdom, the ones who are wise in this world, and show their foolishness and their craftiness and their deceit. It'll be revealed. It'll be brought forth. We over here sitting here like, oh, we have to be the whoa, we have to be the judgment. We have to be this. We're responsible for this. We're responsible for that. We need to be doing. Don't worry about that. We don't need to worry about that. We just need to worry about us, our lives, our wisdom, where we're putting our trust. We'll let the Father deal with those. We're not going to sit here and overthrow this corrupt regime that has taken over the US and the world and Israel and all these other places. We're not going to do that. Now, could the Father use one of us as a tool to do something along those lines? Absolutely, sure. Did Elijah not go in and take care of a lot of people? Did Ezekiel and Nehemiah not go in and do things? Did Daniel not go in? Yeah, they were tools used to overthrow empires. Did Gideon not go in with very small numbers, 300 men, and overthrow armies? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that's something we're not this crusades that I'm trying to get at. Let's just let the Father take care of the crafty, deceitful evil, because he'll usually take care of them through their own means. And they will look foolish when those things happen. Because I guarantee you, those men that got thrown into the flames looked foolish. And those men who got thrown into the lions then looked foolish in their last moments. And it was their own craftiness and deceit that was their own downfall. So let's take a lesson from that and say, hey, why would the Father not do that? So there's a couple more slides, but we're going pretty long. So we'll stop here for today. Because there's 5 slides left, but it's a decent amount of reading. And I want to let this sit and I don't want to skip it. I don't want to rush through it. That was a lot and kind of long. Thank you guys for holding on. Any questions or comments or anything anybody wants to add? There you go.
Quite a while back, I was doing a lot of reading, still I'm trying to, and Yahuwah made it, put it in my heart that I should become what he wants me to be, not who I think I am. And this has to do with this a great deal, because I is the operative word. Whatever I think I am, if I think I'm wise or intelligent or strong, or it doesn't matter. It's who he makes me. So I pretty much strip myself, say that I am not important except to what I can do for him. So when it says, even in here, if anyone among you seems to be wise in this age, let him become foolish so that he might become wise. It's talking about humbling yourself completely. When he talks about knowing the thoughts of the wise, that they're worthless, these wise people are elevating their knowledge, who they think they are, and it is not important. He doesn't care if they're looking into their spirit and looking to the fact that he is important to them. He looks at you as wise. I think that's what he's getting at.
No, that was very well said. That was very well said. And I mean, look at our president, guys. That dude goes on TV every other day telling how great all these I thought of these things. It was so smart of me to do these things, and nobody else ever done something like this. If you want to look at exactly what Paul's talking about, let us not look for a man who boasts in himself, in his ways, in his wisdom of this world. Let us look for a man who boasts in the Father. I never see these good Christians, these believers in the Messiah, these supposed people going out and just praising the Father. I don't. There's always some kind of self-boasting. There's always some kind, look how wise I was. Well, if it wasn't for me thinking about how to do those things and all these plans, and if I didn't set this thing up in that way, in that shape, in this manner, in this form, well then, pretty much if it wasn't for me, God could have done nothing, really. And if we look at Moses on the rock, right? What happened? Moses is frustrated with the people and he lashes out on the people and strikes the rock. And the father's like, I never told you to do that. I told you what? You should go look what he told Moses to do, because it was not strike the rock with the staff. But the people see Moses hitting a rock with a staff and water pouring out. And they were asking for water, and now they get water. And the father's upset with Moses. So that was a good, it was a good way of saying it. I like that. And that goes back to exactly what Paul's been telling the Corinthians. Guys, we're not looking for men. We don't care about, oh, I came from this teacher and this school and this college and this education, this level and this wisdom, and I did this and I did that. How about let us boast in the Father? Dude, we did these amazing things in this other country, and the only reason I can say we did it was because the Father allowed it to happen. The way he worked everything and the way I was able to be used as a tool to do this and to do that, it was absolutely amazing. There's no way we could have done it with the hand of man. It was only the hand of the Father that these things could be accomplished. That's boasting in the Father. But them saying like, yeah, I flew over to this other country and I did all this stuff and I did all these things, that's boasting in yourself, in man. Cool. Well, if nobody else has anything, I guess that'll be it. Next week we'll wrap up just the end of Corinthians 3. Because there is a bright side to all of this. But yeah. So we'll start off next week on some really good news. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording, and you guys have a great Sabbath, and